It's time for the Daytona 200, the 83rd running, as we get ready to roll, and bikes are off, and we're headed to turn number 1, and it looks like the 70 of Ty Scott is going to lead us into it on that vision wheel. M4 X-Star Suzuki.
Yep, you got Brandon Posh there as well. He jumped himself into second really early. A lot of Dyson shoving around going here in the back of the pack. Everybody made it through turn 1. Now it's that first run down to the International Horseshoe, Greg. And looks like everybody's going to roll right through here pretty clean as well. Oh, had a little mix up there. That looked like Chris Sabora possibly, but he's all good. Now this fast kink, Greg, and you talked about the weather. If we have a system coming in here, that can definitely get the wind swirling around. So we'll pay attention to that, because that kink on the infield, as you can see how dark the sky is, the background there, we're going to be keeping a close eye on that as well.
All right, so on our first lap, and we're going to get our first run up onto the banking. This is going to be the big group. So who has got a good drive and who is going to use the draft? Who wants to take over the lead? So here we go. We know that Brandon Posh, last time he won it, was really cagey on this one, but he goes to the bottom on his TOBC Triumph, and he's going to take over the spot for the moment as they head down the back straightaway towards the chicane. He won't hold on to it. So now we come off the back straightaway, and it's going to be Brandon Posh, number 96, is going to take the spot under braking. Ty Scott in second, and there's Josh Herrin in third. And is that Hickey?
That's Hickey.
Hickman in fourth place.
And you can see, Greg, how big that group is still at the front of this field. You've got 12, 14 bikes, and everybody right now, all you got to try to make sure that you don't do is mess yourself up to the point where you create gaps, because sometimes those gaps can be difficult to get back through. Now, talking to Danny Eslick earlier, you'll see him there. He's up to 5th, Greg. He talked to me about he's had some struggles this week, but as he comes across the line, Danny Eslick looked like he was second to me. He's pretty busy still at the front of the pack. Like I said, it's going to be like this for the first 16, 18 laps. And you just want to be able to put yourself into a spot where when you get ready to come into the pits, there's going to be guys coming in, I'm sure, together. 10th was Harry the last time they came through. They're both in this lead group. They will be on GSXR 750s this year as they were on R6s 2 years ago.
So Richard Cooper had the lead for the moment, and Ty Scott comes across the stripe as the leader of that lap on his Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki.
To conserve just a little bit, but keep himself close enough to the front that he can really fight for it when we get to the end.
And speaking of fighting for it, here comes Danny Eslick, the 69, as Richard Cooper gets split by Josh Herrin and Danny Eslick. As they come into turn number 1, it's going to be TOBC's Danny Eslick who takes over the spot.
It's going to be Richard Cooper. As you can see, he's right behind Herrin, and Richard Cooper is going to draft back past Herrin as they come across. And look at how far back Escalante came to get himself in that spot as well.
With the Daytona 200, where in this first session before, or this first kind of stint before we get into the pit stops, everybody's just trying to sort themselves out on speed. Do I have the ability to run? And then what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Tyler did get a drink of water, and they're able to get him out, but it was not nearly as quick as the stop for Richie Escalante.
You kind of see they had a little bit of a problem. Jamie was talking about getting that rear wheel in and even getting the fuel in on that first try. It took 2 or 3.
Well, down here on pit lane, Greg, you can take a look at the pit camera right now. See the rain falling pretty steadily at this point, at this particular part of the racetrack. Now, again, it is 3.5 miles
red flag.
long.
Sorry,
so
Jamie. Red flag is
now
out.
being brought out. I told you it's starting to rain just a little bit heavier, Greg.
Yeah, we don't race in the rain here, Jamie, so thank you for the heads up on that one. The restart of the Daytona 200. It's underway.
Good start from Ty Scott. Looked like he got the clutch out pretty quick on that 70, but Herrin is able to get just as good of a start. Didn't look like he got as good as one, but here we go. So we have a rider down. It's a Kawasaki. Don't want to speculate, but there's a good chance. I know Jason Farrell is in our field.
Yeah, Austin Martinez also on a Kawasaki.
Correct, but Jason's is primarily green, and let's just hope that that's going to turn out okay.
You can see Herrin taking a nice wide approach to the chicane.
Yeah, we're getting word that there's a red flag, so that's going to be for the Jason Farrell incident down there in turn 1.
Revs are up. When the light goes off, we're racing again. Here we go. Into turn number 1 we go. The third shot at it, and it's going to be Josh Herrin up the inside, who's going to try to put the hammer down straight away.
Yeah, and again, he's going to do his, we saw him work it on the last restart through this infield. He had about half a second, to your point earlier, Greg. And these two M4 bikes, they're going to try to do everything they can to stick as close to him as they can. Because
we see passing here. Look at Cooper going down to the bottom. Look at him rocket by both riders looking for room. This is going to be tight to the wall. And Cooper gives Josh Herrin some room. Now it's going to be a braking duel into the chicane.
Has not lost touch with these guys. And you can see him there on the white TOBC Triumph just off the back of the front four. As they come across the tri-oval, he should be able to close that gap back down. He's got Hickman right behind him. And then, as you said, Greg, Dunlop is just off the back of these five now.
Pretty incredible as we have lap traffic up ahead.
It looks like one of the Triumphs went really wide there, and it looks like it's Cooper. I believe it's Cooper. Does he have a problem? He does. Richard Cooper has a problem on the exit of turn one. I'm not sure. I thought I heard something in my headset. The chicane there, and Herrin wasn't late tipping in, but the fact that the bike was backing in ever so slightly on him, you can see probably slowed some of his mid-corner speed through the chicane. Ty Scott's going to lead him across the line, so Josh Herrin knows that he's going to have a guy that's not going to give up. He did not see Brandon Posh back there, which probably means, Greg, that he is. And this is just where you hope, Greg, that your team got all the gas in the tank that they could get in there. As you see, Josh Herrin is going to race Ty Scott really, really hard. So that right there is Herrin going up underneath Ty Scott.
Scott has been given a 1.72 second penalty, as is Brandon Posh. He's assessed a 1.74 second penalty for an incident that he had the 96.
Ty Scott's going to get in the draft, and he's going to draft right back past number 2 Josh Herrin. So Herrin's going to have to try to figure out where he wants to try to go by Ty Scott. See if he does this tight line again as they go down into turn one, and they've got a back marker in front, so that might thwart the efforts of Herrin as they were running up on the 18 here.
Oh, and down goes that rider, and Herrin has a box. So
wow, that is really lucky that those guys didn't go down there.
Here, it looks like him and Ty Scott might be having some words alongside each other. I'm not sure how well they can hear each other over the roar of the engine, but, you know, talking to the team earlier, they said it's not necessarily the speed with which they complete this pit stop, it's the efficiency and the way that their movements are very deliberate. As you can see, both tires changed really quickly. We're refueling right now. Really, that's the only holdup, is just waiting.
Wow.
And he's back on the bike and trying to get out. It looks like the front stand is jammed.
He knew that he saw Josh Herrin having some issues, but Herrin's already ran him down. They're looking at each other as they come down through that tri-oval. Herrin is going to lead them into the infield for their first time on brand new tires with 15 laps to go, Greg. And now you just kind of get to the spot where you're not playing games, but you've got to get your mind thinking about what your plan is going to be with 2 laps, 3 laps to go. What are your intentions? What are you going to do? Where can you try to make passes? As Ty Scott pulls up along the outside, almost looked to me like he maybe rolled out of it a little bit to let Herrin fighting amongst themselves down around the bottom of the banking. Escalante and Ty Scott side by side. They're not able to use any draft at all at this point. As Josh Herrin goes off into turn one, he's got by one of the back markers, but his lead now, Greg, as he goes 47.8.
Oh,
47.8 for Josh Herrin.
Just enough fuel in the bike that you have fresh tires, and Josh Herrin just went 147.879.
Yeah, and you can see those are when I saw the blue flag in the chicane, I thought that the 2 back markers, if Josh got off into the infield ahead of them.
It is unbelievable what Josh Herrin has been able to do this late in the race.
1.5 seconds he's pulled out in that first split.
And now we have heard that the penalty was under review for the number 70 is now gone. So no penalty for Ty. Josh Herrin on the back of 2 Daytona 200 victories. He has got his hands off the bar and he knows what's at stake. History made for the number 2 from California. Josh Herrin with his 3rd in a row and 4th career Daytona 200 victory. Richie Escalante in 2nd, and Tyler Scott will round out your podium. Rally race results. You have Herrin with the big dub. Escalante and Tyler Scott. Just 0.8 of a second separated those two at the line.